Russian armor moves in waves, fast enough to sound confident. One MTLB edges forward to feel the line without committing the column. The moment it crosses that invisible seam, a layered defense snaps awake. Ukrainian FPV teams lift off together, not as a blur, but as a plan. Cameras lock targets, radios tighten timing, and smoke tries to buy space. That MTLB wears extra plates, and for a while, it looks unstoppable. Hit after hit lands, 5, 10, 15, beyond 20, yet it keeps crawling. It buys seconds, not ground, and those seconds change everything. Drones do more than hunt, they choreograph lanes. Mines do more than blast, they force hesitation. Guns do more than fire, they close the book when the angle is right. What shifts the fight isn't one explosion, it's the clock working in sequence. In the next minutes, you'll see how a single probe maps a kill zone. You'll see how one pause dooms a column, and why more armor isn't victory. The first MTLB goes forward as a tester, and that single move forces Ukraine to switch on its drone layer first, which tells us the defense is built around eyes in the sky before any large weapon speaks on the ground. Recon quadcopters climb and hold a steady picture. Operators tag hulls and terrain features, and strike pilots receive clean tasks with short calls. So the chain runs fast and simple because the air picture leads the shot list. This order gives the defender control of tempo rather than distance, since the side that gets a stable feed can choose angles, set timing, and direct fires without the guesswork that comes with dust, smoke, and engine noise. The Iron Cage MTLB then shows why that picture matters, because add-on slats and plates cut the best approach lines and buy small pieces of time that crews can spend on smoke, throttle changes, or a quick course correction. Frame-by-frame reviews from the clearest footage point to more than 22 FPV hits before the vehicle finally loses mobility. And while that figure will need a firm audit, the pattern is the point. Extra protection slows the kill, yet it does not change who owns the pace. Some warheads arrive off-angle and break on the cage, some tear at optics or antennas, and some clip fenders and side boxes. And even when the hull keeps moving, every hit still improves the defender's map because the drone camera is recording the lane, the turn points, and the weak edges. This behavior stands in sharp contrast with many turreted tanks that keep ammunition close to the crew or stack propellant in a carousel, since a shaped charge that reaches the rack can turn damage into a fast fire or an internal blast. Several Russian models carry tight ammo layouts, and when a penetrator finds that storage, the fight ends in seconds. The MTLB, by design, trades a big gun for speed and space, so it often avoids a dramatic brew-up, yet suffers early losses in tracks, sensors, and steering. In plain terms, the carrier can stay alive while doing less, and that means it draws attention and absorbs punishment. But it cannot shape the lane once the vision is dirty and the running gear starts to fail. The operational effect is quiet but decisive, because the probe teaches the defender more than it tells the attacker, and that knowledge grows with every second the video link stays clean. As the MTLB crawls under pressure, Ukrainian crews refine the target grid, confirm which tree rows funnel vehicles, and mark the exact bends where smoke actually works, while pilots test altitude against blast cones and jammers to find the safest approach. Every pause becomes data, every swerve writes a note on the range card, and those notes turn into faster missions for guns and cleaner arcs for follow-on drones. So the next engagement starts with options that did not exist a minute earlier. You can also see how this duel explains the difference between damage that looks dramatic and damage that decides the lane, since a hit that shatters a road wheel or snaps a track pin may not give you a fireball, yet it still ends forward motion and creates a new obstacle. A mobility kill is deadly inside a narrow approach, because one stalled hull forces a choke, stretches spacing, and exposes the next vehicle to a measured angle. Defenders prefer many small wounds that stack into delays, since time penalties punish mass more reliably than one perfect shot through the front plate. The carrier that survives 20 hits might still lose the day, because each hit buys seconds for the defender, and seconds are the currency that pays for the kill box later. For a serious audience, several details still need firm confirmation, because a sound narrative rests on verified facts rather than viral fragments. The timestamp should be locked with local light and shadow. The axis of advance should be geolocated by matching tree lines, utility poles, and field contours to recent satellite passes, and the hit tally should be built from a single continuous cut with duplicate angles removed. It is also worth checking the spacing to the first mine belt, the presence and power of electronic warfare gear, and any signs of soft kill emitters, since these factors shape survivability more than any single layer of bolt-on armor. If you are producing this segment for screen, show the structure first and the drama second, because clarity sells the point better than a long montage. Start with a clean graphic that separates recon drones from strike drones, then move into slow-motion impacts that demonstrate how slats pre-detonate a charge or bend a blast away from the hull, and follow with a simple overlay that labels strong faces and weak joints. Close the sequence with a side-by-side of a mobility kill and a catastrophic tank loss to highlight why one becomes a roadblock while the other ends as a crater, and let radio beeps and engine strain carry the timing, since those sounds explain the rhythm better than any caption. In short, the first wave turns on the lights, and once the lights are on, timing beats steel, because information sets the order of fire, and the order of fire shapes the outcome. Transition to the next section by noting that a mapped lane and a measured clock will meet the follow-on push before the second wave even clears the start line. When the main column moves in, mines wreck the tempo, and strike drones with thermal eyes chase every dismount, so the formation falls apart before heavy guns can speak. Wave 2. 2 tanks and 1 armored carrier push up, yet the lead tank hits a buried charge and throws a track, and the second tank slows hard to avoid the same lane. An FPV pair dives on the carrier, using smoke from the blast as cover, and the hit lands near the roof gear and hatches, so the vehicle dies before it can reverse. Infantry jump out to secure a line, but a small thermal quad holds the picture, and warm shapes pop against cooler soil, so short bursts and a follow-up drone clean the open ground. Radios go clipped, recovery teams hesitate at the crater, and the jam at the front becomes the fight, so momentum drains even though only 1 charge went off and 1 carrier was lost. This is the pattern. Delay grows under air pressure, because each pause invites a new angle, and every turn exposes a soft face, so armor thickness matters less than timing. Taus look brave, yet another FPV circle forms before the hook is set, and the choice to save metal risks crews, so the safest move is often to back away. Wave 3. Tactics switch to quad bikes to shrink the target and spread risk, yet speed trades one danger for another. Light frames sprint and throw little heat at idle, but engines still glow, and riders light up in the infrared, so a cheap sensor tracks them while they weave. A spotter drone marks the route, then a cluster burst lands ahead of the bend, and soft targets shred while the rest dive for cover, so a second quadrotor finishes the stragglers. The idea is agility, yet the defender wants a predictable flow, and once the pack hits a mined turn or a sub-munition field, throttle drops, and the air gains time, so speed becomes a trap. A smaller signature helps, yet it cannot outrun a camera that sees heat and a munition that blooms across a lane. Even when a few riders slip through, they cannot breach, they cannot tow, and they cannot lead tanks out of the choke, so the larger assault still stalls behind them. The bill shifts from machines to people, and that trade burns fast once the sequence repeats. Wave 4. Armor returns, and the failure repeats. Another tank strikes a charge while its wingman angles off, and a replacement carrier tries to mask with smoke. Yet FPV pilots ignore the tank at first and kill the carrier, because without lift for troops there is no hold. Pursuit drones hunt along the fence and the ditch, and the camera rides above the smoke while infrared cuts through it, so there is no safe pause to regroup. Electronic warfare bites in patches, yet experienced crews fly outside the worst bubbles or change routes when noise spikes, so pressure stays steady until the line breaks. Retreat costs more than entry because recovery under fire pulls units into the same angles at low speed, and those are easy shots. No single blast decides it, the clock does. Each delay stacks into the next, and the last frame is a column facing the wrong way while small drones are still overhead. Items to verify: log mine types and field layout, match cluster fragments to the exact sub-munitions used, and count losses for each wave from distinct angles to avoid doubles. These facts will tighten the record and explain why choices paid off or failed. When a hide site is found, Ukraine sends a drone swarm first. Parked tanks and carriers die before engines can warm. The plan is simple and hard to stop. Hit many targets at once and keep pressure on every exit. Crews expect artillery but meet a sky that never runs out of angles. A patient camera stitches warm roofs, exhaust stains, crushed grass near tree lines, and a busy radio net into a map. When hints align, the green light comes. Recon holds the picture. Decoys fly low to draw fire. Jammers blind optics on the edge. Strike drones climb and dive in waves. Assigned lanes and altitude stacks prevent collisions. Air defenses fire but cannot keep up. Smoke rises, cameras switch to thermal, weak radars drown in noise. Barrels overheat, racks run dry, and sights go quiet as the main hits arrive. Fire spreads inside parked armor, so one kill primes the next. Fuel pops and spills, shells cook off, APCs and trucks burn. The nest becomes a row of flares. The first drones punch the head of the column, the next block the tail, and movement collapses. Soft ground traps those who flee. The strike breaks mines as well as metal. Units spread out and hide longer. Dispersion saves lives but kills tempo. Reserves shrink. Crews are slower to replace than steel. Fuel trucks avoid forward sites and repair yards clog. The defender exploits fast, recon counts wrecks, artillery taps hotspots, engineers mark lanes, small teams grab documents. Claims still need proof. Tie swarm size and losses to original feeds and logs. Fix coordinates by tree rows and poles. Use before-after satellite shots and distinct angles to avoid double counts. On screen, show logic first. A clean map, a short timeline, then the burn line, and keep the audio honest. Ukraine runs a UAV-guided ambush that kills hard targets first, and Russian anti-tank missiles fail to change the fight. A scout holds altitude and feeds clean ranges, while guns and tanks wait cold behind cover. The call is short, the lay is precise, and the first round lands before the enemy knows which hedge is hot. Crews shift to a second hide, and the camera slides to a new perch, so the next shot comes just as fast. This method beats guesswork, because the camera counts distance and the gunner only needs to press when told. There is no long hunt with optics, and there is no engine roar to give away the hide, since movement is short and timed. The drone marks silhouettes, tags road bends, and memorizes tree lines. Then the ground team uses that slate to pick aim points. One shell breaks a track, the next shatters a turret ring, and a third ends the escort. Russian teams try to answer with anti-tank guided missiles, yet stress and clutter break many shots. Wires snag on branches, fins clip leaves, and seekers grab smoke, so the missile veers and dies in the treetops. Some launches start while the shooter is still moving, and control wobbles in the first seconds, which is often fatal to guidance. Backblast gives away the nest, the camera notes the flash, and a reply lands before the launcher can shift. Smoke and jammers help only in pieces, because pilots fly outside the worst bubbles and switch routes when noise spikes. The camera climbs through the plume, flips to thermal, and keeps the grid alive, so the gun line keeps firing. Missiles that do arrive hit after the target has already moved, and the damage is thin because the ambush does not sit still. Infantry feel the trap and run for pipes, sheds, and broken walls, yet a hovering quad locks the opening and tracks heat. A small loitering frame slams the rim, the entrance falls, and the pocket goes dark. If a squad packs into a half-standing house, a top-down hit drops a stair or a lintel, and the group is finished without a doorway fight. The chase is calm, not wild, since control wins more than speed here. The result is one-sided. Precision and quiet movement live on one side, while rushed launches and poor angles live on the other. Crews start to doubt every bush, and that doubt slows hands and feet, while the drone never tires. Exact ranges, the missile models, the drone positions, and the confirmed target list should still be cross-checked. However, the pattern is plain. Eyes in the sky write the shot list, and the shot list writes the outcome. One street fight and one field fight point to the same rule, and that rule is a multi-layered defense. A Ukrainian tank used a corner wall as a hard shield, then cut an APC that edged into view. The crew stayed cold behind cover, a small drone set range and angle, and one round ended the lift. That single action removed transport for the squad, and the lane lost its push. Out in the open, a different scene told the same story, as T-72s, T-62s, and carriers hit a chain of traps. Mines stopped the lead, strike drones broke sensors and tracks, and the rest bunched under smoke. Kills did not come as one blast, they came in order, and the road turned into obstacles. Mass could not pass that line because tempo died before guns could help. This is the structure that keeps showing up, and it works because each layer feeds the next. Drones make the picture first, since scouts mark holes, lanes, and hides while the ground stays quiet. Mines and other obstacles come next, since they squeeze space, cut speed, and write the path for top hits. Artillery and rockets follow, and guided rounds including HIMARS, when range fits, punish a stalled column. Armor and infantry finish, as Bradleys with TOW and dismount teams close at measured distance. Columns that pause suffer focused fire, since every second adds aim and crews cannot mask forever. More tanks do not fix that, because mass without movement only grows the target set. To break the chain, the attacker must blind scouts, breach fast under fire, and shake the gun line. That means stronger electronic warfare, tighter smoke drills, better plows, and quick recovery with cover. It also means decoys, false lanes, and rapid counter battery to make the defender start over. If those tools arrive late, the detect, delay, and finish cycle repeats, and losses climb. For Western forces, the idea feels familiar, yet the speed is new because cheap airframes set rhythm. Bradleys and squads still matter, yet they are strongest after the sky has shaped the ground. Their best work comes when targets are marked, lanes are slow, and exits are blocked. Key facts still need checks, including rocket types, verified imagery of APC losses, and typical TOW ranges. A clear graphic should show the 4 layers, and a small table can sum losses by wave. Transition to the next section by asking one question. Who shortens the clock first, the attacker with faster breach, or the defender with sharper eyes? Modern war is won by layered coordination, not by counting tanks. If scouts, mines, precision fire, and armor move in one rhythm, they shape the lane and decide the fight. Russia can answer with stronger electronic warfare, drone interceptors, and small mobile teams, yet those tools only matter if they break that chain. Ukraine must protect the low sky, keep trained UAV crews on rotation, and sustain stocks of accurate rounds. If the chain holds, massed columns will slow, bunch, and pay a heavy price. If jamming or long-range strikes break it, tempo flips and armor gets room to move. One last question for you. Which layer will decide the next phase? UAVs, mines, precision fire, or counter EW, and why? If you want deeper battlefield breakdowns, subscribe to Military Force.